People who went to a mediocre or low-rank school, were you successful after? Alright, so we just talked about somebody that couldn't get a job going to an elite university. Let's read this question. People who went to a mediocre school like UC Irvine or UNLV, how successful were you in terms of getting a high-paying job? Is it possible to get into a top-paying job with a mid-tier college or not? Were you judged by your college choice and work? Okay, so let's answer this question. People who went to a mediocre school like UC Irvine or UNLV. Alright. I know nothing about UC Irvine or UNLV. If I'm a potential employer, I'm like, oh, I've heard of those schools. Let's look up the program that this person went to. Oh, cool. It's accredited. Great. All right. They're qualified. Now let me interview them. See what kind of personality they have. See what kind of experience they have. See what they bring to the table. See what they talk about what they've learned. That's what I'm hiring them based off of. I could care less where anybody went to school. So I don't personally think that, at least in my field of engineering, that the school you went to is directly determinant of you getting a high-paying job. I think the connections that you leverage, that you might get from going to that school, can impact your career, and maybe the quality of projects or the quality of internships that you got while you were going to that school, because that school might have connected you to them, influences your ability to have a high-paying job. But who you are as a person, what you bring to the table, what you can demonstrate that you've learned, how you communicate, how your work ethic, that is significantly more determinant of your probability for getting a high-paying job and being successful in your career than the name of the school that you went to. If a person came to me and all they could talk about is where they went to school, other than the fact that it was, oh, fond memories, or oh, it was a great program, really happy I went there. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, I went to Harvard, you gotta hire me, I'm bright and smart because I went to Harvard, and they're constantly talking about the fact that they went to the Harvard, I just find that so annoying and off-putting. If you've watched The Office, you've seen Andy in the way that he's made fun of. I mean, that is the way that I would perceive somebody that just bragged all the time about where they went to school. Next question is it possible to get into a top-paying job with a mid-tier college or not? First of all, is UC Irvine or UNLV a mid-tier college? I mean, what defines a mid-tier college? I mean, who gives a dang? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Were you judged by your college choice and work? Nobody has asked me where I went to college, other than casually. Nobody's asked me where I went to college as like a measure of how credible I am. And when I tell people I went to school, they're like, oh, that's a cool school. They don't know anything about the engineering program. They're like, oh, I've heard of it. Oh, UC Irvine. Oh, cool. I saw them in March Madness this one year. Or UNLV. Oh, they had a good football program that one year. They beat TCU or whatever. I mean, nobody cares. Nobody cares. At least in the business professional setting. Maybe like the quality of MBA program that you went to, or if you went, nobody cares. Nobody cares. All right, and that's the podcast. Yeah, select your school based on where you're going to learn the most, and make a good financial investment. That's all I have to say. That's the podcast. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Engineering Success Podcast. Thanks to our top tier supporter, Jonathan Ott. Really appreciate you, man. You can join him if you subscribe on Patreon or on Anchor. And as always, I will get back to you hopefully in a couple weeks, but hopefully not a month from now. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I'll catch you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching this segment of the Engineering Success Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. All those things really help me out. They boost me up in the YouTube algorithm, and they'll help other people see this great content.
I'm not complaining, my thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station.